It's official. We've been Stuckmanized. At the core of the mystery of Shelby Oaks, it asks the question, what happened to Riley Brennan? The movie is told through the perspective of Mia, who's having a hard time moving on after losing her sister. Her desperate search for her long-lost sister falls into obsession upon realizing that the imaginary demon from their childhood may have been real. Now, before I even get into the review, let me rant for just 1 minute. I swear I'm going to try to keep it brief. The fact that Chris Stuckmann, a YouTuber who I have been watching for damn near a decade, is getting a feature-length film in movie theaters, coolest thing I'm going to see the rest of the year, guaranteed, hands down. I don't want to speak for others aside from myself, but at least for me, I feel like I see a little bit of myself in his trajectory of what he's done on YouTube. I have always wanted to make a movie, and the fact that I get to watch another man live out his dream, I'm so proud of the guy. He's never going to see this, but it's so damn cool. I feel like there's so many of us out there, a lot of us who start YouTube. We hope one day that we get the stature and we get the credibility, we can do something like he is. So a lot of people are motivated and inspired and living vicariously through the guy. It's just the coolest damn thing, as I said, to see one of our own in the movie space on YouTube just doing it, following his dreams. I love that. I will champion that every time, whether I like your movie or not. And thankfully, for the most part, I did really enjoy this film, actually more than I expected to. And I did not watch the trailer for this. It was one of the ones I actually managed to avoid. It was nothing like I thought it was going to be. The movie is told through the perspective of Mia, played by Camille Sullivan, who does a fantastic job, by the way. She backpacks this movie for sure. And she's investigating the disappearance of her sister, Riley. Riley has a YouTube channel, I believe, called The Paranormal Paranoids. And one day, everybody from the group goes missing. Nobody knows where they went, but they know they got lost in the town of Shelby Oaks. So the movie kind of plays out like a mockumentary mystery where you're having this main character, Mia, try to investigate the disappearance of her sister. And we are along for the ride like a fly on the wall as she tries to uncover the clues and understand where her sister went, because she is somebody who cannot let it go. And she's really the only person in this film that feels like that. It feels like the cops have kind of moved on. Her husband has moved on. It just feels like everybody else is ready to put this to bed. But this is a character who is so dead set on the task. She will not stop until she gets answers. She needs closure of what happened to Riley. Again, Camille Sullivan is the main actress in this, playing Mia, and I had never heard of her before this. I had seen brief interviews because of the publicity this movie is getting, but she is fantastic in this film. She sells you on all of the layers of this character as if you're somebody experiencing the loss and grief with her. She makes this character in this movie, as a matter of fact, feel a lot more important and deeper than it could have otherwise. If you had a lesser performance, this movie could have been pretty mundane. But this is a character who is so dead set on finding her sister, she would do anything. She would travel to hell and back. She will overcome her darkest fears. This is a woman who will stop at nothing, turning over every stone to find her. I'm going to get into the horror in just a second, but sticking with what I just said about her character, while I do like the scary elements of this film as a horror movie, I think the strongest element of the movie is the humanity element of it. Just a likable lead in Mia, just a story that I feel like everybody as a human being can relate to, just wanting to get an answer to something you so desperately seek, a loved one possibly going missing or dying, something that damn near everybody who watched this movie can connect to her character on, which makes the journey you're going along with her character for very enjoyable. Enjoyable might be the wrong word given where this movie ends up going, but enjoyable to watch as a viewer, as a fan of horror, because it gives you a character that's both grounded and it has layers to it and feels more than just a character put in a movie. It feels like somebody you could actually encounter. I also thoroughly enjoyed the way this movie looks. I heard in numerous interviews this movie was heavily inspired by Lake Mungo, and I can see that 100% after watching it. But oddly enough, I actually thought this movie drew similar comparisons in the way it's structured, like tonally and atmospherically, to Oddity, movie I really sang the praises of on this channel last year. I called it the scariest movie of the year, so that's kind of a tell for what I thought of this movie at parts. And I think I arrived at that comparison because of the way this movie is lit and shot and the directing choices of Chris Stuckmann. I think the lighting of it, the contrast, the shadows, it's such a gorgeous looking movie. It's surprising this could be a directorial debut. It just looks so professionally done, knowing it's an incredibly low budget film. But I loved the use of shadows in this, the ambience of having people off in the dark. All of the lighting choices of this movie felt very purposeful, like they have certain characters in the dark for certain scenes when they're talking as to hide their faces. Just a lot of very slick choices that add suspense and mystique to scenes. Even knowing that the budget was very low, I would have not been able to tell you that leaving it. I thought it was very interesting to notice some of the creative choices he managed to go with. Given some of the reviews he's given in some of the movies he's been highly critical of and he's really enjoyed. It felt like he was taking elements from those films or kind of confirming why he liked or disliked those choices. Again, like Oddity, like Lake Mungo, it just felt like you could see the inspirations from those movies in this one while managing to feel like his own because of the lighting choices, the coloring scheme. It just felt like his own thing. As a matter of fact, it kind of felt like my style, the way I've kind of visualized I would direct things. Just the tone of the movie. It's hard to explain unless you've seen it, but the style of how it's all filmed, you'll know what I mean. And I think this movie manages to get right what a lot of these like fake mockumentary horror films flub. That is that this movie is a mystery centered around the disappearance of Riley into the town of Shelby Oaks. And a lot of movies that have a hook like that don't manage to maintain the mystery. But all the way up until the final act of this film, when you are trying to get answers through Mia as she's unraveling this investigation, you really don't know what's going on. It is still a mystery and it still feels fresh all the way up until the final act. But this movie managed to keep me interested and intrigued in the mystery of what was all going on in Shelby Oaks. Where did she go? Who's doing it? It felt like it was giving you just enough nuggets along the way, just enough breadcrumbs to keep you interested without showing its hand too early and without spoiling where it ends up going. The whole time I was watching it, I kind of had this dreadful unease to it. Like something was really off and I could not quite notice what it was, which I think is a sign of effective storytelling, mainly because I was so into the character of Mia and I was so sympathetic for what she was doing. I wanted her to win so bad. But the whole movie just has this very chilling atmosphere to it. Like something is severely wrong. Something's like off in the background and you don't know what it is. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you know it's there. Like you're given hints of it. I'm not going to give it away and I'm not going to tell you too much about the story because central to this movie as a whole is just the mystery of the entirety of what's going on. The third act of this movie I thought was really good. In fact, I thought it was a better version of other movies we've had out in the past couple of years that people were highly critical of and we really liked. Not going to tell you what those movies are because it's a direct giveaway of where it ends up going, but I thought it was better than a couple of the mainstream movies people really hyped up. Let's leave it at that. You'll probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not ready to say it's the best horror movie of the year, but it's one of my favorites. This is probably in my top 10 favorite movies of the year so far. A lot better than I expected and a marvelous accomplishment as far as I'm concerned for a movie that's apparently so low budget, first time directing insanity to me. But I love the performance of the lead Camille Sullivan in this as Mia. I think she's one of the best horror protagonists of the year. Very memorable performance. And I think the story of this movie could have came off very generic in the wrong hands, but I think the way it's paced, the way it's structured, the way they withhold information until you really need it, it makes this story feel very fresh and unique to me amongst a subgenre I feel like is kind of having a hard time closing the deal. I think this movie really manages to stick it. Yeah, I probably was going to support this movie anyways, but I'm definitely buying this movie on Blu-ray now. If any of you guys have seen Shelby Oaks already or plan on seeing it, or if you don't plan on seeing it, please go see the film, support it. I love supporting low budget independent horror like this. We need more movies like this. Come back, comment down below, let me know what you think, and join the channel. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I do horror lists, new reviews, everything imaginable. If you like that type of content, you like to review, I'd love to talk to you more. Peace.